Hello, XRP Las Vegas. So great to be here again. I know last year was my first year being at XRP Vegas, and we love it. Love it. So today, I want to tell you guys a little bit of a story. And it's a story of disruption. I'm a nerd. I live in Silicon Valley. There was nothing that I could do except for work in technology. It's just the way I was wired. But technology has a very, very, very cool way of changing the world in ways that you don't expect. So I'm going to take you back in time, long time ago, in, thankfully, a financial system that no longer really exists. But a venture capitalist named Marc Andreessen, he actually created Netscape, he kind of kicked off a lot of this. He made a quote that said, "Software will eat the world." This was 2011, right? So long time ago. If we look at what the world looked like from finance and TradFi then, we can see a few things. If you wanted to send money between two people, you're probably going to pay around 10% of whatever that is. I don't know if anyone in this room has ever sent a remittance, but it was painful back then. If you wanted to get money into your bank account, it took maybe 2 or 3 days. Instant ACH didn't come out until 2016. If you wanted to then transfer money through a wire, it took 1 to 5 days. Swift, the messaging protocol, didn't really see a need to change because they were collecting $40 or more on every transfer that was happening. Now, a lot of this meant that everything was more expensive. If you wanted to get a secured credit card, you were going to pay 20% of the value that you locked into that day one and over $100 in fees. There were very, very predatory companies who were actually charging these to get more and more money. They're extracting value from the financial system. There's a lot of predators out there. What this meant is that about 35% of the world, billions and billions of people, could not actually transact with each other. And if you wanted to transact, there were gatekeepers that you had to go through. You could not physically send money. This bothered a lot of people. I was lucky enough to find Bitcoin in 2011 and see, wow, there is a better way. Also, in 2011, there were a few wizards that got together to try to also solve some of these problems. So thank you so much to David, to Arthur, to Jed, and the rest of the team who really got to coding. They got to building something that could change this. But it was slow, right? We've all been through the painful transition as a financial system evolves, and we are still seeing that evolution. So if you had talked to a bank CEO in 2012 about blockchain, it's right here. Not for us. We don't care. Why would they? The status quo benefited them. All of the value that they could extract was great for these giant, giant companies. If you had talked to a now retired legendary investor, he said, crypto is a weapon of financial mass destruction. Wow. Well, you know what? I think he was right in some ways. But the mass destruction that he was talking about wasn't in the value of the tokens that we had. It was in the system that was built to carry value in the old world. This was a painful time over the past few years. A lot of you have been there. Uphold has certainly been there. But there's a different tone now. So you heard a banker. This is actually a quote from yesterday. Crypto is core infrastructure in 2026. The winners will be those who embrace it. Wow, that's quite a change of tone. If you look at what the consultants are saying, blockchain, the third highest investment priority for financial institutions, behind only AI and cloud. These are transformational technologies, and they are driving their way through the financial system. So Uphold, luckily, has been around now for a lot of these changes. we've been helping to drive that innovation. Back then, we had some challenges. I think we were all in a place where it looked like the things that we believed in, the technology that we were building, was under attack. However, because of the loyalty of this community, because the people in this room had belief, you saw the Ripple billboards, we do not fold, you did not fold, and Uphold was there to support you, we were able then to transform with the financial system. So right now, Uphold has scaled, Uphold has built on these innovations to offer a whole set of capabilities. Always-on financial access is the core motto. I believe that everybody should have the power to own their money. I work with a team of incredibly smart people who are committed to delivering that experience. Anything to anything. You can take dollars to crypto, to stocks, to tokenized real-world assets. All of that can happen from one ledger to another using not only our platform, but the underlying blockchains that we tie into. And those blockchains have only gotten better, whether it's the XRPL, which moves instantly, transmits money across the world with almost no fees, whether it's newer blockchains like Solana, whether it's new use cases like debit for streaming payroll. There are so many possibilities that always-on financial access gives people. One of those things is a crypto debit card. If you go by our booth, actually, we have a limited edition debit card. Only 2,000 will ever exist. It's XRP branded. Stop by, scan the QR code, sign up for one. But all of this is built on infrastructure that was not possible, could not exist in 2011. Direct deposit, on-chain credit, on-chain yield. I'll talk more about that soon. Staking, self-custody. All of these empower the individual to control their money. But most people don't necessarily want the complexity of being their own bank. So on the other side, we took all of this technology that we've built that allowed consumers to do this, that allowed this infrastructure to exist, and we wrapped it in a set of APIs. So businesses have come to us and said, hey, we want scalable, regulated infrastructure for our customers. Some of the largest banks in the world are talking to us about using this infrastructure, using this underlying technology, things like the XRP ledger, to deliver this value directly to customers. Why is that? Because they realized they were wrong in 2011 and 2012. They realized that this view the audience in this room had might have been an outsider view then, but it has become the status quo. Why? Because it was better technology, it's better rails, and the better technology has driven the change in the market. Now, we also then are looking at tokenization. Tokenization is the next big thing that everyone is talking about, and that is the ability to represent any type of asset on a blockchain. Once you have that, you can then do a lot of other amazing things with that tokenization, because you can trade it, of course, but you can also use it to wrap. You can say, hey, I'm going to get rent in the future for a property I own. I want to tokenize that to fund the purchase of another property. You can send that cash flow then to grow your business, to support more and more use cases. So as things become tokenized, as the world moves more on-chain, the technology that was built, started building in 2011, is really powering this new financial infrastructure. And you're going to hear a lot today, I'm guessing, about agentic AI. AI, of course, is the new movement that is pushing the technology forward. You cannot have an AI agent wait 24 hours in order to do something. You need a blockchain to be able to guarantee finality, to guarantee settlement, and to guarantee security. Wouldn't it be great if there was a performant blockchain that settled instantly that could power that? That is in this room today. We have the technology to do this, and we have the technology to do it in a faster, cheaper, more efficient manner than was possible before. So, we all have feelings about the individual here, but luckily, things have changed. We have a much more sensible regulatory climate in DC. And the regulators now know not only is this technology better, not only can it solve use cases that they have been worrying about, but their constituents in DC, the people in this room who have fought the hard fight, talking to everyone, educating them, saying, hey, this is how I can use this. This is how this will benefit my life. Those conversations have driven us to where we are today. Everything that was pushing against this industry is starting to turn and starting to propel it forward. And it's because of the people in this room. It's because of this community who have had the hard conversations, fought the hard battles, maybe even gotten into fights with friends over whether or not this is something viable. It is real and it is here. And best of all, we're now seeing more and more representation of people who really understand the power of this inside of government. I'll give a plug to John Deaton. I don't know if he's listening, but I hope you win, because we need more people like that. So what can you do now, right? We've got this technology. We've got all these things that really allow you to use your crypto in daily life. Well, we've saved a lot of money because these technologies are so much faster and cheaper. We can then use that to actually share some of the rewards with customers. We have our new direct deposit auto trade feature that we've just launched inside the Uphold app. You can take your direct deposit, choose how much you want to allocate to different coins, whether that's XRP, RLUSD, whatever it is, and you can get up to 3% back in XRP. People are like, oh, how can you do that? Why are you able to give rewards like that? Well, it's because through blockchains, you can operate a much more efficient business. We don't need to have huge branches. We don't need to have all of these networks of buildings. All of this can live digitally, and we can pass those savings back on to you. Mentioned our debit card, right? The debit card industry is built on very old technology. When you swipe your debit card, yes, there's a lot of things that happen on centralized networks. Visa will send to acquirers and merchants. But we are now working with banks to bring instant stablecoin settlement to the debit card networks. That allows debit cards to be much more efficient as well. So whether it's powered by RLUSD or USDC, the way the underlying technology that these networks rely on start to become more and more cheaper, more and more efficient, and you will see all of that being shared with this community here. But it doesn't stop there. Credit is one of the hardest problems to solve in crypto. We've seen a lot of people try to solve it in different ways. The old model of credit was really, hey, somebody is going to take a risk on you. Somebody is going to look at maybe your past spending, maybe the types of assets you have, all of these things, and they're going to decide, okay, this person is worthy for credit. I'm going to give them however much money. On-chain credit allows us to change that entire dynamic. So no longer does it matter who you as a person are. It matters what is your ability to repay a loan. And that, the assets you have, can be used to get more efficient credit. Inside your Uphold app now, there's a section called Instant Credit. We've partnered with a decentralized protocol, the Exactly protocol, that allows you to get a Visa signature credit card. This is a real credit card. You use it anywhere that Visa is accepted through your Apple Pay or Google Pay. And the backing of that card is based on the assets that you have. You are not selling your crypto. You are taking out a loan that you can then repay with direct deposit with the other rewards that you're getting as you earn on the tokens. So this is what billionaires have historically only been able to do. Jeff Bezos can borrow against his Amazon shares to be able to live his life. Now you can borrow against your XRP to be able to spend daily and pay it back with the fiat currency that's probably not going to be worth as much in the future as it is right now. So we're really excited about the instant credit feature. But we launched this to test it out, and we did not have XRP as part of it. Why is that? Well, there needs to be a lot of liquidity. There needs to be a lot of dynamics. As we all know, XRP can be volatile sometimes. We needed to build it in such a way that people who had XRP locked in this were not just going to get instantly liquidated. Nobody wants to lose their crypto. So XRP is coming to the XRP protocol within Uphold. Mid-May, May 12th, my engineering team is out there somewhere. That's when you should see it. And we're really looking forward to seeing how people can use XRP-powered loans more efficiently, better credit. But there's more. The good news is that we have driven this transformation, and by we, I mean everyone in here, by using these technologies, building these tools, building on these blockchains. You can now send money cross-border instantly for less than 1/100th of a cent. How do you do that? Well, the XRPL is a really good way to do that. Payments settle instantly. I can send one RLUSD to anyone in this room, and they will get it. They will have that money, and they can move cross-border no problem. I used to work for a company called PayPal, and I built their stablecoin. One of the most important things that a stablecoin needs is this instant liquidity, instant settlement. A company like Ripple behind RLUSD gives you that ability to move money and know that it's there. Credit is now powered by DeFi. No longer do you have to pay huge predatory fees. No longer do you have to wait for weeks and weeks to get a decision on, hey, will we let you spend this money? No, we can do that powered by DeFi, and we can do it relatively low cost. Value can now move instantly. So when Mark Andreessen said, software will eat the world, what he meant is that these old manual processes, these old companies who have built these bridges or these moats can now be disrupted by companies building bridges. And that's what we've built together. We've built those bridges. But more is coming, because now we have this technology. Now we have the capabilities to actually deliver value instantly. There's a lot of cool things we can do. Has anyone heard about Flare? We stood up here last year and talked about the pilots that we're doing with Flare. So over the last year, as XRP has grown, as use of the XRPL has grown, as RLUSD has grown, Flare has been building. And we're super excited to turn on our Flare integration coming in just a few months. We have billions of dollars of XRP on the platform. That's your money. That's not our money. We cannot trust that to just anyone. So as Flare has evolved, as Flare has built in the new protocols, up their caps, up their limits, we're starting to turn on the faucets. Expect to see more there. And we'll also have an X Space with Hugo to talk a little bit more about that later today. DeFi is evolving. It is not just about borrow and lending, which we support through the Exactly protocol. It is now creating new financial instruments that did not exist before. Firelite is an innovative protocol running on Flare that allows DeFi insurance. It's a way for a DeFi protocol to protect against some of the catastrophic loss. But it's not the old world where the insurance companies are the ones who are getting all the value. Participants in the network can help secure the protocols that they use. And that means yield on XRP. So Firelite is really, really exciting as it comes. And everyone is still building. If you run an XRPL node, please signal your vote for XLS66. That will bring native DeFi lending pools to the XRPL. That means we're not going to have to wrap things and bring them to another blockchain. We can do that natively within the XRP ledger. I know Ripple is working on this. I know the team is really excited as they build this out. But this should be coming hopefully later in the year. Again, it's a decentralized network. All we can do is vote with our nodes. Please vote with your nodes, and we can see how all of this comes together. And last but not least, our friends in the banking industry. Banks are not going away. Banks have been here for thousands of years. But banks are going to be transformed. No longer are they the people who decide what you do with your money. Now, they are working on the technology that we've all built to make your money faster, cheaper, more efficient, but more importantly, give you control over it. And that is what we are excited to partner with everyone to bring. Thank you all for using Uphold. Thank you for being part of the XRP community. And stop by the booth if you have any questions. Thank you.